All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. We've got some more reserve left tackles to consider here. Admittedly, we're getting down to kind of the bottom of the barrel. We're really scraping on the bottom here. These are guys that are going to cost like vet min or slightly more than vet min. It's not much. There isn't a lot here to get excited about. Most of these guys don't even have market value pages on SpoTrack. It's just a collection of guys that theoretically can take up a spot on a roster, but if you actually ask them to play for you, you're probably not going to be too happy with what you get. But these players are in the NFL. These players are out there, and sometimes you have to have one of them. So if this team spends heavy on a Charles Cross extension, they probably don't have a lot of money left over to sign a really good backup. There's limited resources on a team. So if you're going to spend big on Cross, which I think we will, then you're obligated to turn around and say, we're not going to go crazy with his reserve. Okay, Trenton Scott, going to lead off with Trenton Scott, currently a commander. He's bounced around the league a little bit. He was a part-time starter on a couple of different teams like the Chargers and Panthers, but he started a grand total of 4 games over the last 3 combined seasons. Caught a touchdown last year for Washington, so that's cool. But he's never really had an opportunity to show what he can do over an extended period of time. Last year, the little bit that he did play, it was less than 200 snaps. He mostly played right tackle, although he did play some left, and he was graded quite poorly, 48.7, pretty bad. The year before that, he played slightly more than 130 snaps, and most of it was at right tackle. So 59.8, that's not too bad for a backup. That's a little bit more tolerable. But I don't think there's anything here that's going to be more than vet min. So I think he's going to get like 1.5 million, maybe 1.4 million, somewhere around there. And he'll probably be worth about that. Chuma Edoga of the Dallas Cowboys, formerly a Jet, formerly a Falcon, another one of these guys that bounces around. He's started a decent number of games over the last few years because of injuries, but he's never been a full-on starter. Career high was as a rookie. He started 8 games, so he doesn't play a lot, but he plays enough for you to get an idea of what he's about. PFF ranked him very poorly last year, 52.2, and he played almost exclusively at left tackle. So it's only 220 snaps, but it's still enough to get a feel. Year before that was better. He played most of the year at left tackle, a little bit at left guard. 61.4, that's manageable, right? That's workable. We're not crazy about it, but it would get the job done. And no market value page. I think you're looking at something like 1 year, 1.4 million. He was semi-passable these last couple of years and played a little bit. I think that's going to get him a little something. DJ Humphrey. This is the one guy we're going to look at here who actually has a significant amount of name rep, I think. DJ Humphreys was a first-round pick in 2015. He's had a pretty good career. He tried to farm a Super Bowl with the Chiefs in 2024. Didn't work out. But as recently as 2023, he was a full-time starter for the Cardinals. He made the Pro Bowl in 2021. So he's had a nice little career. At this point, I have to believe that Humphreys is going to be considered a backup wherever he goes because of age, because of injuries, and he really didn't do that much in 2024 to earn any credibility as a starter. So I think we're at the point now where even though he's only 31, I know that doesn't sound that bad. He is mostly considered a reserve. He didn't play enough in 2024. In 2023, he was about average, okay. Played the whole season at left tackle as well, so there's some credibility here, I guess. Year before that, he was quite good, but this was, again, 2022. We're in 2025 now. He's already had some injury issues. He was already considered to be a pretty fringe player last year as is. I don't think there's going to be a big market for Humphreys at this point. Spotrac says 1 year, 1.3 million. I could see a little more than that because he is a name. He's a former Pro Bowler. He is a former first-round pick. But this is probably pretty close to reality at this point. I think the rug got pulled on Humphreys very quickly, and he became pretty much irrelevant overnight, it feels like. Jaron Christian of the Browns. He's been a Ram, he's been a Texan, he's been a Chief, he's been a Redskin slash football teamer, or I don't know, football teamer doesn't sound right, but never been a full-on starter, always been a backup who occasionally gets into games because of situations demanding it. The most recent year where he actually played a decent amount was 2023, and he was graded in the bottom 10 for offensive linemen. His run blocking in particular was really bad, but he did play pretty much exclusively left tackle, so at least you know you're getting a legitimate left tackle with him, just not a very good one. He barely played last year, so you're getting somebody who hasn't played meaningful football in a while either. So this is, again, you're at the bottom here. You're probably looking at like 1 year, 1.2 million, 1.3 million, basically veteran minimum, whatever that is for him. So you definitely don't want him playing, but players like this do belong in the league, especially right now with the state of offensive lines across the NFL. Calvin Anderson of the Steelers, another undrafted player of a few years ago, was a Bronco, was a Patriot, and never started more than 7 games in a season. I think he has some utility value. I think he played some right tackle for the Broncos in 2022, but most places consider him to be more of a left tackle than anything else. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He was a left tackle with the Broncos in 2022. That's what he played, 400 plus snaps, and he was decent. But since then, he basically hasn't played serious football. This is the only recent season where he played meaningful snaps. 65 is pretty decent, but it's not enough to it wasn't enough to get him a starting job going forward, and it's not enough to have anybody give him a starting job now. He's about to turn 29. He does belong as a backup. Probably going to get vet min 1 year 1.2, 1 year 1.3, something like that. So Calvin Anderson, not a terrible idea. Larry Borum of the Bears was a 5th round pick of the Bears in 2021, has been an off again, on again starter at tackle for them. Never started more than 9 games in a season, so he's another one of these guys that just belongs to hang around as a backup. PFF was pretty down on him in 2024, and it was over 300 snaps. Most of it was at left tackle, so we do have a decent idea of this guy. We know how bad the Bears' offensive line was last year, and he certainly seems like he was part of that. Gave up 7 sacks in 330 snaps. I would say, though, he's protecting Caleb, and Caleb, being a rookie, was not well-versed in evading sacks, really. So it's somewhat understandable why that number would be high and it not necessarily be reflective of him. So 53.8 is not good, but maybe it's understandable. 48 the previous year, though, that's even worse on 400 snaps. Well, almost all of it at left tackle. So it's not like there's a track record of anything better. Market value for him is basically the minimum, 1 year 1.2. About right. This next one's interesting. Jackson Carman. Jackson Carman, former 2nd round pick, was a fairly hyped player coming out of college, went to the Bengals, and he played a little bit in 2021, the year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, but he played guard. And then after that season, he basically never got on the field. He played less than 100 snaps in each of the last 3 seasons. Miami did move him to tackle, and he did start a game, but he hasn't really done anything that we can even evaluate. All we really have with Jackson Carman is his pedigree, and that might be worth something, but he's been on multiple teams now, and he just hasn't gotten on the field. And he was on the Bengals, right? The Bengals don't have some great offensive line that would lock him out of playing if he was still a good player. If he was a good player, he'd get out there at some point. So there's no market value page, but you're looking at Vetmin, 1 year 1.1, 1 year 1.2, and you're trying to basically fix him. You might end up playing him at guard, even if you did fix him. He is young still. He's only 25. Yeah, he just turned 25 a month ago. But realistically, I think with Jackson Carman, you're looking at you're looking at something like a developmental guard and not necessarily a tackle. But the fact that Miami moved him to tackle last year is notable. So it just kind of depends on how you want to interpret that. One last guy for this group, Jalen Moore of the 49ers. Played a decent amount of football over the last 4 years, but never started more than a few games in any season. This last year, he started 5 games because of all the injuries they had, and was actually graded well. Now, remember, he's in that Shanahan offense, and they make their offensive linemen look better. And 74.9 is still very credible. I would still give him credit for that. Pretty much all of it was at left tackle, too. The year before that, when he played, he was also graded well. Proceed with caution. We're talking about a Shanahan guy here, but there's certainly something here worth paying a little bit of money to. I'd at least give him the vet min. So that's probably all he's going to get. He's got no market value page, but you're probably looking at like 1 year, 1.2 million. And maybe you're going to get a bargain there because he's been locked behind Trent Williams. All right. That's it for the left tackles. We're going to do one more video later today, I think, with the right tackles. If I don't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. But the right tackle stuff's going to be quick because most of the relevant tackles get covered in the left tackle part. And then the right tackle is just like mostly the stuff that's left. And it's super, super dry this year. Okay. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. More stuff coming soon.